Hey, what's going on? 104. Decided to try something a little bit different this time. I'm gonna do a video here. This will go on top of the narrated video PowerPoint that I'm gonna load on after this. But we're gonna talk about some wound care and wound management, okay? So this is gonna be short and sweet, all right? As you can see, all right? I have a little wound here. All right, I'm a football player, got cleated. Soccer player got cleated. Volleyball player runs into the stands, whatever, okay? And I have my wound here, okay? So what's the first thing that you guys are gonna do? So the first thing you guys are gonna do is, and I hope that everybody takes these words and uses them as Bible, okay? Always have gloves and gauze on your person, okay, in your pockets, on whatever it may be. Always have gloves and gauze with you. One lesson that I learned from one of the best athletic trainers I ever met, his name was Gary Hanna. He's the head athletic trainer for Embro University. It's about 20 minutes south of Erie, and they have Division I wrestling. And you know, he told me about, you know, how at the NCAA Division I wrestling tournament, all the athletic trainers call themselves the One Glove Club, okay? Because no matter what's going on, they always have one glove on through the course of the matches and everything else, because it just helps you be more prepared. I'm not saying that you guys need to have, you know, always have your gloves on, but always have gloves and gauze in your pockets, okay? So an athlete runs up to you, right? They have this wound here, okay? You're gonna take some of your gauze, okay? Check this out, just your standard woven gauze. I think this is 3x3, all right? We have it in the athletic training room. You're gonna ask them, you're gonna give it to them and ask them to push it, to put it on there, okay? So just because, you know, I'm by myself here, okay, I'm gonna put it on, all right? So you'd have the athlete apply pressure, okay, to the wound. While you're doing that, okay, you'll be putting on your gloves, okay? All right. So now you have your trusty gloves on, right? Now you can start taking care of the athlete. You can start applying pressure. Let's say it starts to bleed through the gauze, okay? You're going to apply more gauze, okay? So you take a packet, maybe a little thicker this time. You're going to push it on there and apply pressure. Let's say it's bleeding through that gauze still, and we're going to take some more, okay? Take some more gauze, push that on there, okay? Now this isn't an absurd amount of gauze, but this is a lot of gauze, right? Let's say there's still bleeding through the gauze, right? Then the next step would be to elevate the body part, okay? The body part needs to be elevated above the heart, right? All right. Now, it's still bleeding after this. Then the next step is going to be to pinch off an artery, okay? And we talked about this, you know, in class before we left for spring break, right? So you need to find the brachial artery here underneath the muscle of the bicep, get underneath there and push off and push, right? So you would be doing that while holding the gauze on, okay? Now let's say you finally get this wound to stop bleeding, okay? So what you can do is you can slowly remove the gauze. You notice that it's not bleeding anymore, okay? Next step is to clean, all right? Now, there's a couple different ways to clean, okay? The tried and true way that we've been doing for many years, but we're starting to get away from is hydrogen peroxide, okay? The reason that we don't really use hydrogen peroxide anymore is because studies have found that the hydrogen peroxide is actually killing the good cells on top of the bad cells. Now, one can argue that when you're first cleaning the wound, right, you can just go ahead and kill everything, right? You can go ahead and use hydrogen peroxide and just kill all the nasty stuff, kill all the good stuff, and just start with a clean slate. You know, I'm fine with that, guys. You know, but we also have saline wound wash, okay? And that's for, like, you know, you can still use this for an initial wound clean, right? Or you can use this for, I would suggest using this for re-cleaning, right? Because once you've cleaned once, okay, and you get all that nasty stuff out of there, maybe we're playing on a dirt field, or even worse than a dirt field, a turf, all right, field with, there's lots of germs and bacteria. Maybe you want to use the hydrogen peroxide to kill whatever got stuck inside that wound. But then after that, you want to use the wound wash, okay? So, you know, what you'll do is with the wound wash, you can just take it and you can just spray directly in the wound, right? You can go from top to bottom, all right, side to side, directly in, okay? And just use this pressurized saline solution to get all that nastiness out, okay? And then what you can do is you take some gauze, okay? You take clean gauze. So you have this clean gauze here, okay? And you have to wipe out the wound from the inside out, okay? So I'm gonna try to get close as I can, right? So you can see this, and I'm going inside out, okay? Inside out. I don't wanna take stuff from out here and swipe it back in. I don't wanna go like this and just go side to side and up and down and get all that stuff out of there, right? Because what I'm gonna do is I'm bringing more stuff in from the outside of the skin that hasn't been cleaned. So what I wanna do is go from the inside of the wound and like a flicking, kind of gliding, sliding motion inside out. I wanna get that wound clean, okay? Now you do that with saline, you can do that with the hydrogen peroxide. Either way, the trick is, and the important thing is it needs to be inside out, okay? We don't want to bring any more contaminants from the skin into the wound, okay? The most important part of wound healing is going to be keeping it clean, okay? So, wound is clean, right? Maybe they started bleeding a little bit, okay, through the cleaning. You're just going to take another clean gauze and you're just going to hold it on there, and typically they might bleed for another 10 or 15 seconds, something like that, but it's going to be fine, okay? So what are we going to do now? We have a clean wound. Let's say the athlete feels fine. They want to get back in, right? You can use a non-adherent pad, okay? You can use more gauze, okay? Like this. What I would caution with the gauze, though, is the gauze can actually bind to the coagulation substance, right? So when your wound starts to clot up, when it stops bleeding, it starts to form some of those crusties, right? This can actually bind to that, and when you take it off, it'll re-rip it open every single time. Now you can use this stuff in a bind. You can use it for in the middle of a game or competition, just to get the athlete through, right? But the gold standard, what we want to use is we want to use one of these. We want to use a non-adherent pad, okay? So what we'll do, open the non-adherent pad just like this, okay? So you're not touching the pad with any contaminated surfaces, okay? Then you're going to take the pad out, all right? And you'll place the pad on the body part, okay? And then, right, so it's on there like that. And after that, good old-fashioned pre-wrap and power flex will do the trick, right? Anything to keep that down. I like to use power flex and pre-wrap because it's flexible, allows the athlete to to flex, their body parts so they're not feeling too restricted in wherever the wound is. Okay. So that's how to take care of a wound. Okay. In the narrated PowerPoints, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about different kinds of wounds, punctures, scrapes, things like that, and a few other things. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.